Hello. Thank you for joining me this morning. Hope everyone is doing good. Here in the Midwest, it is cold. We just received a bunch of sleet. So I think it has turned over to snow now, but yeah, it's all white out there. So the roads are going to be touchy. So anyway, I hope the weather's beautiful wherever you're at and that you have a wonderful day. I am here to share a journal I just made using Oohlala's Vintage Treasures French Bliss Digital. It's got to be one of the prettiest digitals. I think I say that about all of Doreen's digitals. But we'll take a look inside here in a minute, and I'm sure you will agree. So this is just a wraparound cover. It doesn't come off or anything. I attached it to the journal part. But I did add a couple of dangles here at the bottom. Some lace, eyelet lace. I made a ruffle out of some chiffon. And I added an applique down the middle of it, which is very pretty. This is how I used what I did to attach the journal. I just put some, it's like a real fine tulle through it and tied it. And then I just tied a few more in between, just making it fluffy, making it more full. That's the way I like it. And then the back, we go around, and I added the same applique here on the back. And I made this ruffle, same as the front one. Added this flower, which came from a Crafting Me shop, and so did the appliques on here. And here's some lace that I added along the bottom. And then I did add a dangle because my journal, once again, turned out very thick. And it looked kind of funny without nothing. It's just a soft cover. There's no hard spine in it. But I did add this bow, then a bunch of pretty laces. Some bling in here. Some pearls. Here's some more bling. Love the bling. And of course I had to put a little bit up here on the top. Okay, so let's go inside. For the closure, I just added Velcro to this applique here. And then I added some ribbon, or it's an applique that I cut out. So it was actually like a big ribbon. It was probably about 2 inches. I believe I used it all, so I don't have any more laying around. But I just kind of cut it out. I thought this gold would look perfect on this background here. This is the gold part is what came off the ribbon, and then this is a big old applique that I cut out of some tulle and added it there. It's just a short opening here, and then over here on this side I added a doily that I believe is tatting. I'm not real sure, but I believe that's what this is tatting. It's gorgeous. I just love it. But I left it open up here on the top just in case whoever gets this wants to use it as a pocket. But I just added some ribbon on the side to kind of just give it a little more stability. And yeah, and the back, the inside of this journal is made out of satin off a wedding dress. An old vintage wedding dress. So, okay, to get started, I have a short page here. This is the first page of the French Bliss Digital. And I added the little saying on here. It says blissful. And then I added some lace. I stenciled the back of it. I don't particularly care about bright whites. So then here I added a doily that I had in my stash. And here's some trim. So what I did is I just kind of cut the page and rolled it back, and then put the French Bliss from Oohlala Vintage Treasures in behind to kind of make it sort of like a frame, almost like a busted frame, I guess. And I added some stickles around the edge to kind of give it some glitz, since she is so pretty. But then the trim, and then I just glued it all down. It's just there. Then I added some trim and some pearls. Then on the back side here, here's another applique from Craft Me Shop. I made some tags from the French Bliss Oohlala Vintage Treasures. Here's another one. And I just, for journaling, and I made the pocket out of paper doily. And I cut out a circle and put it in there just for stability. So, but it is attached all the way around to the page. And you just and then here's some vintage lace that I had in my stash. I love vintage, everything about it. And then on this page, I just put some real pretty tulle or fabric that I had. It was just really wide, and I just cut it down to just make a flip. But I added some pearl up there at the top. And then underneath, this page was so pretty, I thought, what can I do to it to make it look any better? Well, I couldn't come up with anything, so I just put this pretty fabric over the top just to make a flip, just to kind of showcase it, to show it off. Isn't that pretty? Then on the other side, I added a little dangle here. I made a corner pocket out of a doily, a vintage doily, and I made a journaling card with the backer paper from Oohlala. And this dress that I put on top of here, it's out of Doreen's kit. I believe it's called Biscotti Silk Couture. So this is just the mannequin of the dress. It is absolutely gorgeous. Then I added her saying here of spiritual. I thought it was very spiritual making this journal. I had so much fun. It's just so pretty to play with, and to try to make it even prettier. It's kind of hard. When you start out with the best, it's hard to make it better. Then here's a tag. I just used some of the ephemera that came with the kit. Added some stickles there in the middle to give it some sparkle. Then here's a tag that I added a fabric pocket, and then added another ephemera from the French Bliss kit. And there's your another journaling spot. And then I just added this from an old wedding dress at the top. Then you can journal on the back. And this here I made into a belly band. added some trim. This came from my stash. Then on here, in the next page, I kind of, stenciled in the background a little bit. And I took one of the envelopes that comes in the French Bliss kit, and I just put it on backwards, basically, and made the side flaps into a holder to make this into a pocket. And then I just added a couple little tags, which again, this one here come from the Biscotti Silk Couture. Just gorgeous. Okay, the next page. I mean, it just didn't need anything. I just left it alone. I just kind of aged up the edges a little bit. Kind of took a chunk out of that there. That's it. Perfect. And stenciled a little bit on the back. And I stenciled the background of this paper, and I took one of the full pages from the kit and just tore it up, and I glued it down just like along the sides and the bottom, and I just made it into a pocket, which there I added a heart that was from the kit, and also some stickles to kind of outline it, little blingy. And you can journal on the back of it. And then another applique from Crafty Me Shop. And this comes from my stash. It's a vintage lace, coffee dyed paper. And then here's a page with the beautiful little Cupid dolls. So I just think they're so sweet, so precious. I hope you can see it good. Isn't she cute? She's saying her prayers. And then I took some vintage trim to trim this edge, which has a tag in the middle, or has a tag included, I'm sorry. I added some trim that you kind of use as a belly band, so you could add, something into it if you wanted to. And around the edges, I used some gold paint, this kit uses a lot of gold, or I see a lot of gold in it, so I try to enhance it here and there, besides using the walnut stain to kind of antique up the edges. And then here's another pocket back here. I'll just leave that out so you can see. There's another pocket back here. I added this little tag with some vintage lace. And this bow came out of the Biscotti Silk Couture, I believe. And then I added a little pink flower in the middle. You could journal on the back. The back is coffee stained. Okay. And then I had this trim that I put along the edge. Then here's a glassine bag that I printed on. It's from the kit. I can go ahead and untie it, but the bag is glued down. So, but isn't that pretty? And again, I used some of the gold paint to give it the shimmer. And I added some lace here at the bottom, little flower, and some pearls. And then here's the tags that are included in it. I added a little bow with a rusted pin and this pearl drop. Isn't that pretty? I did sew around this. Just adds a little something. Then of course you can journal on the back, but isn't that just pretty? I sort of went around the edges with that gold paint. If you hold it just right, some of it will kind of shimmer a little bit. I didn't put a whole lot on it, just in a few places. I'm having a hard time speaking this morning. And then, like I said, this is glued down. The ribbon's glued down. I like it hanging out. I think it looks cute that way. Then I'll tie that up later. Then here's a frame that was included in the ephemera part of the kit. And I added vellum or tracing paper. I believe I used tracing paper on this. I just cut out the middle of the frame. And then this is like a little journaling card from the kit that I just cut down to fit. And then added the gold around the edges of the frame and the card. Stuck her in there so she would show through the front. Isn't that cute? And then here I left one end open and put lace on it to make a pocket. So there's your tag in there. And then I did some stenciling around the edges, and I just added a little, just scrunched up some lace and added it there to the corner. Then here is some stenciling here that I did, and I didn't do anything with this. It's a bow covered in pearls. They're pretty. In this page, I was a little leery on this one, but I took some paper, or I printed up one of the pages, and I kind of scrunched it all up and tried to glue it in different spots, which I was having a hard time, and it was tearing. So I just took different vintage laces and made the ruffles across the whole page, because that's what the picture was. It was nothing but ruffles, which actually, well, I thought I had a copy of it in here, but I guess I don't. But if you get the kit, you'll know which one I'm talking about. It's just full of silk or satin ruffles. That's what it looks like. And so I just glued some ruffles, some lace on here, and kind of squished it together to kind of ruffle it up a little bit. Then I added some trim to the side here. I also lined it with some pearls on the inside here to make sure everything held down okay. And I made this for the center. It's a little bow. There we go. And I just cut this out of a piece of fabric that has all kinds of little jewels on it. Stuck that in there. And this strip here come from a wedding dress. Real tiny. Kind of fidgety, but I did it because I like it. I thought it went pretty there. And then just a little bit of pearl. So, and this is tied in a bow. It's hard to make that out, but that's what it is a bow. And so here's the tag for this side. There's a nice big long deep pocket. And I added some more of that paint, and I added a couple of gems up here. I cut it out more to make it fit so it looks like a curtain, where you could jot down whatever you need on the front there, and you could also write on the back where I had stenciled. And then this side is another tag that I just took some of the satin that came from the wedding dress, just tied a knot and just crinkled it up. Kind of looks like a bow, doesn't it? And then I stenciled the back, and you can still journal on the back. And then this here is a paper edge trimmer. So it's just, you just glue a bunch of little tidbits. I started another one here. Where'd it go? What did I do with it? Oh, here it is. It's just, you know, when you got some scraps left over, you just start gluing pieces on it, and then you just glue it to the edge of the page. You know, you make two sides to where it can fold over. That's what I did on this one. You could even tuck something in there, but I just folded it over and covered both edges of the page. So you can, you know, design it however you want. It just adds a little more oomph to that page. And I did use everything came from French Bliss kit. And then some of the old laces that I had in my stash. Tore some pieces of paper off the French Bliss. Just whatever you think of. So, adding it onto this page, I just didn't feel like I needed to do anything to this. I just added a little dangle. These pages kind of speak for themselves. They're just gorgeous. And so here, this is a coffee filter. And this is something that Doreen showed us. And I just thought, this is an awesome idea. So I kind of decorated a paper clip. But this is a full-size, just a full-size coffee filter. And a lot of times, you know, if you did it quarter, you know, if you quartered it, you could put it up here where, you know, you could tuck, let's see, you could put it over the page, you know, if you'd have folded this big part in half, and then it could use as a tuck spot. But I didn't. I left it open, or, you know, left it long and big. And all these strips here are from the French Bliss kit, except for this. I believe it comes from the Biscotti Silk Couture. And here's the pocket that I printed in vellum, and one of the sweet little angels there on the front. She is just so soft and sweet. I just thought it was just awesome. And then, of course, I added my vintage trim around the edge. And then I made the big fluffy bottom with, you know, I added the trim, added this, I added the dangle pearls and gold beads. And then this lace here came off a wedding dress. And then this came from Angel Dream Crafts Kim. It's from her Etsy store. That's awful pretty. And so did this here, the dangle here, come from Angel Dream Kim, or Angel Dream Crafts Kim. And then it fits over the page like this. You know, it just fits over the page. And then you put in your tags. Here's the tags for the front. Probably ought to get them into this pocket here. And here's another tag to put in there. And then this tag goes back in here. And here's what that file looked like from the kit that I did all the ruffles. That's what it looked like that I covered up because I was making a mess out of it. So, then I added some stickles, a perfume bottle, hat box, and a pretty little clutch, which all came out of Biscotti Silk Couture. You can just tuck that in there. And then the other side, you know, the bottom's just the same as the front. And then the trim there, I added peaceful, because what's not peaceful about this? It has, this is the ephemera, a piece of ephemera, which is the wings with the roses. And it had just a white spot here in the middle, so I cut it out and kind of rolled it back, kind of like a busted frame. And I put some stickles on it to give it some bling, and put this sweet little Cupid on the inside. And then I made this into a tuck spot. And then I added this sweet little girl there. And then this little tag. You could always, you know, jot something down on the back. And then this is the tag that goes into it. It's just a postcard that came in the kit. Then I just take the paper clip, clip it on. And over here it's just a fold out. You can journal on both sides, which I have included a writing board for when you're wanting to, you know, you can just put it underneath. Gives it a hard surface if you want to jot something down on any of the pages in here. But this will be in the back of the journal. But that's what it is just a writing board. And then here I used a lace pocket. And I added this. I wanted her showing through the front. That beautiful little angel. And then here's a vase with the roses in it. And oh, isn't that beautiful? Just love it. And then I just added a few stems of pearls. In case you haven't noticed, I'm just in love with this kit. I don't think there's any kit that I've seen yet of Doreen's that I haven't just fallen in love with. And then on the next page, of course, some more stenciling to cover up that bright white. Well, it is also coffee dyed, but I added a, did I do this page? Oh, I skipped a page. Well, it's just journaling area, just journal where you can do some journaling. This is coffee dyed and this is stenciled. And here's another page out of the kit. Just really doesn't call for anything more than what you see. It's just beautiful the way it is. Some more coffee dyed with some lace from my stash that's got the gold trim on it. And then here's is another where I tore out, you know, my favorite parts of this page, and I glued this all the way down. Well, actually, I glued it down, but I cut. Oops, I made a pocket out of this, so I just cut it. I just cut an opening there where I could fit this tag inside there. Oh, this is an envelope. Ah. I'll get it together here with a little postcard and another little journaling card. You can journal on the back. With the word hopeful. And then I put a little flower on the front. And then this just tucks right back in there. And it's going to make a liar out of me. There we go. There we go. And then just some trim that I added. Little winged heart that I put on the outside here for decoration. And the ephemera. I added a little flower and little piece of lace in the background. Then on this side is another little dangle. I made a bow to stick on there, and then use this as the background on one of the envelopes that's included in the kit that flips out. Then you have a journaling card in here. You have 2 journaling cards. You can write on the back. Like I said, the kit is just never ending of beautiful, beautiful items. Then I added a little piece of wedding dress. And then here's a little tuck spot with a little booklet inside that you can just jot on. I just stapled and I stenciled. It just tucks in there. And here's another page. And then here's a little gated pocket. You can open that up. And this I made into kind of like a belly band. And I added a little tag in there with a little pearl, some beads, some lace. And I made a little drop out of one of her words, inspire. Just fits right back in there. And then here's well, what's the deal here? Oh, okay. It's been a while. I just finished this, but it took me a while to build this journal, to where I forgot that this is all glued down, but I just wanted it, it's a tag with the fold out doors that is housing another tag with the belly band. So I added the hole protector and added some sari silk for a bow, and that's why it's all glued down. It's because it's a tag made up that I made some doors so it'd flip out, and then this heart is supposed to hold the doors shut. And then here I took a brad and added a little pearl and wrapped some bling around it. I'm sorry. I get mixed up. That's what I get for making them so big, I guess. And then here's another belly band. Yeah, it's a belly band. You can slip it all the way through. And then I added this tag. This is a hat box that came out of Biscotti Silk Couture. And then here's one of her words. That is adoration. And then you can journal on the back. And then I just added some trim that comes from Crafting Me Shop. You could tuck something in there if you wanted. I left it open there just in case. Coffee dyed, stenciled, and then this just folds out. And then there's the back page. And here's the back of the wraparound cover. So I hope you like it. I had fun making it. I kind of struggle with such beautiful papers to work with, beautiful kits to work with, because they're so pretty. And it's hard to, I kind of struggle with trying to make something that starts out so beautiful. I have troubles trying to make it even prettier. So I just try to add little extra bling and like that to it. So you need to go get the kit from Oohlala Vintage Treasures, the kit being called French Bliss. You won't be sorry you did. Take a look at her other digitals because she has got a bunch of gorgeous digitals. But anyway, this journal is for sale. I'll leave my contact information in the description area that you can contact me if you are interested. And I will have the credits for Doreen Denver, all of her information of her YouTube and Etsy. So I'll have all that down below. And I hope you enjoyed. I'm so glad you showed up, and I hope you all have a good day. Thank you for watching. Bye.